Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at the moon today, but maybe not the moon you typically think about. Forget the usual rocks and exploration narratives for a second.
Right. This is something different, something unfolding in Shackleton Crater, in that perpetual twilight zone. A real mystery.
And the source for this, our main guide, is a document by Fu Fang called Dust and Shadow at Shackleton.
Exactly. It's copyrighted, so, we can't show it or reproduce it.
Yep.
But the story it tells, deeply unsettling, compelling, and that's what we're unpacking today.
Right. So our mission basically is to pull out the key findings, the big questions, the core enigmas from Fang's account of Shackleton Crater.
And the setting is this future lunar colony right there in Shackleton.
Hmm.
A big part of what they do is reclamation, salvaging older settlements, previous attempts to live there.
Okay, but here's the hook, right? This salvage work,
Yeah.
it's not just finding old tech or materials. They're digging up something else, something ancient.
Something potentially dangerous, yeah. It starts with the dust itself, the regolith.
Ah, the moon dust sorrow.
You got it. Fan describes it vividly. It gets everywhere, obviously, but there's this foreman character, Old Man Tiber.
Uh-huh.
He sees it almost poetically, like it's the accumulated grief, of everyone who tried and maybe failed there before.
Oh, grief dust. And that ties into the first real puzzle.
It seems to. This faint green glow they start seeing, coming from the regolith.
Just to clarify, regolith is that loose, dusty top layer on the moon.
Right. Exactly. And this glow, it's faint at first, but it's spreading, growing. And there's this feeling in the colony, this unease, that they're maybe about to make the same mistakes all over again.
Okay, so glowing dust, bad vibes. What about the actual salvage sites? You mentioned Reclamation Base 7.
Yeah, things get really eerie there. People report this weird metallic taste in the air.
A taste.
And a feeling, like a weight of relics, Fang calls it. A sense of history or maybe something heavier.
And the data they pull.
Oh, the data is where it gets seriously chilling. It's fragmented, incoherent, like garbled conversations mixed with corrupted tech readouts. Yeah, or like something's interfering. And there's this constant low-frequency resonance, a hum, sort of woven into the data itself. It just feels wrong.
Wrong how?
Fundamentally unsettling, like a frequency that shouldn't exist there. And within all that noise, a phrase keeps popping up.
Which is?
The garden needs water.
The garden needs water. Okay. Significance.
It seems to be a direct callback to the First Reclamation, their big obsession.
Terraforming, right. Trying to grow things.
Exactly, trying to build a biosphere inside Shackleton, which, spoiler alert, didn't work out. So this phrase is like an echo of that failed dream.
Failed gardens, weird hums, cryptic messages. Quite a mix. But there's more, isn't there? Something about energy fields.
Right, deep down, way below the surface, their instruments pick up this localized energy field. It's faint, but it's there. And the description, organic.
Organic on the moon, that deep.
Exactly. I mean, finding any organic signature that deep, after presumably a very, very long time,
Yeah.
it just flies in the face of known lunar geochemistry.
So what could it be? Like ancient microbes? Or something else?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Could be novel biochemistry, maybe a preserved biosignature from way back, something we haven't even thought of.
Understandably, they reported this up the chain to command.
They did. And what's interesting is how fast command reacted. They prioritized an investigation almost immediately. So whatever this organic signature is, it clearly spooked them.
Okay, so organic signals and then tremors.
Yeah, a very slight tremor. At first, everyone just thought it was the habitat settling, normal lunar stuff.
But it wasn't.
Well, it coincided with finding something else, something they called an alien polymer.
Alien. Like E.T. Little green men.
Huh. No, not necessarily.
They.
Fang's document is careful here.
Yeah.
Alien meaning not from Earth. And not made by humans. Definitely not.
Okay, so unknown origin. What was special about it?
Its structure. The document really emphasizes this. It was incredibly complex, incredibly efficient at a molecular level,
Session how?
suggesting it was designed by something or someone with a profound grasp of physics, way beyond our level.
Wow, okay. Designed matter.
Yeah.
Not human. That's big.
It is. And while the scientists are grappling with that, you have Old Man Tiber again.
The foreman with the poetic dust theories.
Yeah. He starts talking about the stirring in the dust and
Yeah.
echoes of the past. People mostly dismissed it, old-timer rambling,
Until.
until the next salvage haul from Sector Gamma came in.
And what did they find?
Corroded stuff, broken components. But the damage, it didn't look random.
Yeah.
Not like impacts or radiation. It felt, Fang's word is intentional. like something deliberately marked or altered them.
Intentional damage. Okay, this is getting creepier.
And then things properly escalate, sensors start going haywire in that sector, energy readings spiking all over the place.
Malfunctions or something else.
It felt like something else because the crews started reporting experiences, seeing things, seeing what fleeting shadows. Indistinct. Figures in the dust is the phrase used. They could see them, sort of feel their presence, but couldn't communicate. No response on comms.
Figures, wow. And the tech problems continued.
Oh yeah, those metal components they recovered, the ones with the weird damage, they started changing.
Changing how?
Shifting, reforming, almost like they were growing and emitting that same low-frequency hum they found in the data, driving the crew nuts.
Growing metal. Okay, that's definitely not normal.
Not even slightly. And then, the most alarming thing in Sector Gamma, the regolith itself seemed to turn against them. Reports came in that it was blocking evacuation tunnels, like piling up, sealing them off, trapping crews inside.
The dust itself tracked them.
That was the report, which led, understandably, to a full containment protocol for Sector Gamma. People were genuinely scared of reaching whatever was happening in there.
And Tiber, what did he say about the trapped crews?
Something chilling. He said they'd become part of the echo.
Part of the echo. Grim. This sounds like it ties into those warnings you mentioned. From Thorne.
Exactly. This is where Thorne's writings become really relevant in the narrative. He'd warned about this, apparently. Said the regolith wasn't just dust, that it could eventually claim everything, even absorb consciousness.
Absorb consciousness? That's a terrifying idea. Did they have any idea what they were dealing with from the past, from the First Reclamation?
Well, the document describes a holographic projection they reviewed. It showed those early terraforming attempts.
What did it look like?
Greener, surprisingly. They'd engineered lichen, tried to get vegetation going inside these transparent domes connected by tunnels. Looked ambitious.
But it failed. Why?
The regolith, mainly. Fang details. The dust was so fine it clogged everything. Plus the temperature swings, the difficulty maintaining atmosphere, even in the domes. It just couldn't beat the environment.
Okay, so the past efforts failed. But what about the present? Any clues from current monitoring?
Yes. Disturbing ones. Live feeds started showing distortions. And through those distortions, they can see movement under the regolith. Something big.
Big. Like a machine. An animal.
Unclear. But whatever it was, its energy signature was weirdly blocked or suppressed. Hidden somehow.
And adding to that,
They detected residual energy signatures near these disturbances. Definitely non-human. And ancient. Very ancient.
which brings us back to the maps, doesn't it? The cartographer, Vance.
Elias Vance, yes. His detailed maps of the crater floor were the foundation for the First Reclamation. Everyone assumed they were for, building sites, resource locations.
But Thorne had a different idea.
A radically different one. Thorne argued Vance wasn't mapping for settlement. He was mapping containment fields.
Containment, meaning the First Reclamation wasn't about settling, it was about controlling something.
That was Thorne's theory. But their primary goal, maybe secret, was to keep something in, which, if true, really makes you wonder what they found. What needs cleaning on the moon?
And the current problems. Do they line up with these supposed fields?
Chillingly, yes. Fang's document points out a strong correlation. The disturbances, energy spikes, shadows, weird data are happening in the exact zones Vance mapped out.
So, poking the bear, essentially. Disturbing these containment zones is waking something up.
That's the implication. And then there's the seismic activity. It increases.
The tremors.
Yeah, but they become rhythmic, almost like a pulse, a heartbeat. And critically, they spike during the salvage operations.
Suggesting the salvage work is the trigger.
Strongly suggesting it.
Yeah.
It's like they're actively triggering something that's been dormant, something that the narrative starts calling the sleeper.
The sleeper. Okay. Evocative name. Lying asleep under the dust.
And the theory developing is the First Reclamation didn't succeed in containing it. Not really. And now the current salvage efforts are just speeding up its awakening. Accidentally.
And the maps support this. Thorne's interpretation.
They do. Thorne apparently highlighted gaps, broken lines, weakened areas in Vance's charted zones. And guess where those weak spots are?
Right where they're doing the salvage work now.
Exactly. The containment is failing precisely where humans are most active.
Okay, so the old zones are failing. Is anything new happening on the maps?
Yes. A new cluster of lines starts appearing. Isolated. Over near the edge of the crater. An area that hadn't been disturbed recently.
A new zone. What's it doing?
It's growing. Expanding, like tendrils spreading across the map display. And its location is Significant.
Where is it?
Near the old hydroponics farm, the abandoned one.
Mm.
Quarantined.
Hydroponics. Wait, didn't you mention the garden needs water and terraforming?
Precisely. And this old farm has its own creepy local legends.
Such as?
Whispers about the experiments there. Plants growing wrong. Too fast, too big, too
Yeah.
weird.
Suggesting they were messing with more than just fertilizer.
The hint is that they were experimenting with the regolith. Trying maybe to provoke a reaction, awaken something, potentially using, this is a specific phrase used, bioacoustic resonance.
Bioacoustic resonance. Like using sound or vibrations to affect biology in the regolith.
That seems to be the idea. Maybe those hydroponics experiments weren't just about growing food. Maybe they were trying to communicate or stimulate whatever's down there.
Were there specific examples of these weird plants? What made them wrong?
Feng's document doesn't detail the exact plant anomalies in this section, but the strong implication is they went way beyond normal mutation. It suggests a deliberate, maybe reckless attempt to interact with whatever property the regolith or the sleeper possesses.
And the terrifying thought occurs.
That maybe the hydroponics farm wasn't a failure. Maybe it was a success, a horrifying unintended success. Maybe it was the catalyst.
A catalyst for waking the sleeper, so the control is fading.
Right. The document really ends this section on that note. The echoes of control are weakening. The barriers, whatever they were, are crumbling.
And something ancient, unknowable is stirring down there.
Yeah. And the final feeling is being watched. That the crater itself has this watchful presence, and it's about to make itself known.
So that leaves us hanging, doesn't it? What is this ancient force under Shackleton? If the First Reclamation was about containment, what were they so afraid of?
Those are the million credit questions, you know? What is this dark ecology, this possible lunar consciousness? What were Vance's fields really meant to do? And what happens now as the sleeper wakes up?
It really forces you, the listener, to think, are we just repeating a cycle on the moon? Discovery, disturbance, potential catastrophe?
Is the regolith just dust? Or is it something more? A witness, active participant, a consciousness we just don't understand?
Maybe the moon remembers, and maybe we're just starting to jog that memory.
A profound thought. A moon that isn't passive, that might perceive us, remember us, and react. We're only just starting to glimpse that possibility.